the man who lost everything but found himself in a simple life. Ethan Langston was a name that commanded respect, a celebrated banker known for his relentless drive and the sharp mind that had landed him at the top of his game. Ethan had it all: a luxurious penthouse in Manhattan, an endless stream of high-end cars, and connections in every corner of the financial world. He wore success like a custom-made suit, with the pride of a man who believed he was untouchable. Life, after all, had never given him reason to think otherwise, until it did. The trouble started quietly, like a distant thunder that only the cautious heard. A few dips in the market, some unexpected losses, but nothing he couldn't handle. At least, that's what he told himself. But as the months wore on, the volatility grew. Ethan's instincts, usually razor-sharp, became clouded with desperation. Deals that once felt solid began to fall through, and the fortress of wealth he'd built began to crumble, piece by piece. One rainy evening, in the echoing silence of his empty office, Ethan received the news that sealed his fate. A final, catastrophic deal had wiped out his savings, left him in debt, and tarnished his reputation beyond repair. He was bankrupt. His empire was gone. And as the reality hit, he felt the weight of years of pressure, ambition, and pride collapse onto his shoulders, pressing him down to a point where even breathing felt like an effort. He couldn't stay in Manhattan. Without his wealth, his influence was gone. His allies vanished. And he was left with nothing but memories of what had been. So he packed up what little he had left and did something that once would have been unthinkable. He moved to his late grandfather's old, run-down cabin in a small town he hadn't visited in years, a town where nobody knew his name, and more importantly, where nobody cared. The cabin was a far cry from his penthouse. It was small, with peeling paint and creaky floorboards, nestled on a patch of overgrown land that bordered a quiet forest. Ethan looked around, disgusted yet oddly compelled by the simplicity of his new surroundings. There was no silk wallpaper or polished marble floors here, only the scent of pine and soil that filled the cool air. He had nothing to do but settle in and face the life he'd left behind. Days bled into weeks, and life took on a rhythm Ethan had never known. He woke with the sun, his days a blend of mundane tasks that he once would have considered beneath him. He chopped wood, fixed leaking pipes, and cleaned dust that had settled thickly over the cabin. There was no rush, no deadlines, just the hum of the natural world around him. As he slowly adjusted to this stripped-down version of life, Ethan began to notice things he'd never cared to notice before. He noticed the quiet beauty of dawn breaking over the treetops, the way sunlight filtered through leaves and cast patterns on the ground, the soft rustle of animals moving in the brush. It was humbling, this beauty that existed regardless of wealth or power, indifferent to the success that had once defined him. One morning, as he walked through the small town square, he heard the lively sound of children laughing. He turned and saw a small group of kids playing soccer in an open field, their joy infectious and unrestrained. They didn't seem to notice or care about the world beyond the ball and the camaraderie of their friends. Ethan felt an odd pang in his chest, a longing for a simplicity he had never realized he wanted. It was there that he met her, Lydia, a woman in her late 40s with a warm smile and a calm presence that immediately put him at ease. She was watching the children with a fondness that hinted at a story of her own. "Are you new in town?" she asked, her eyes twinkling with genuine curiosity. "Yes," Ethan replied, surprised at how easily he spoke to her. "I'm just taking a break from the city. Needed a change." Lydia nodded knowingly, as if she understood far more than he had said. "Well, this town has a way of giving people exactly what they need, even if they don't know it yet." They began to talk, and before he knew it, he was telling her about his fall from grace. Lydia listened without judgment, her gaze steady and compassionate. She didn't offer pity, only understanding. And for the first time in months, Ethan felt like he wasn't defined by his failures. In the weeks that followed, Lydia became a quiet presence in Ethan's life. She would invite him to community gatherings, small events that brought the town together in ways he'd never seen in Manhattan. At first, he resisted, still clinging to his pride. But gradually, the simplicity of these moments, sharing food, laughter, and stories, began to erode the walls he'd built around himself. One evening, Lydia introduced him to Thomas, a retired teacher who had lived in the town his entire life. Thomas had a gentle wisdom about him, a depth of character that Ethan found himself drawn to. They would sit together on the cabin's porch, watching the stars emerge in the darkening sky, talking about life, loss, and the things that truly mattered. "You know, success isn't just measured in wealth," Thomas said one night, his voice soft but firm. "It's measured in what you give to others, in the love you share, and in the way you leave the world a little better than you found it." Ethan felt something shift within him. It was a truth he'd known somewhere deep down, but had buried under years of ambition and pride. In his drive to achieve, he had forgotten the quiet beauty of human connection, the simple acts of kindness that held a value beyond anything money could buy. As winter approached, the town held its annual charity drive. Lydia, with her ever-present warmth, asked Ethan if he would lend a hand. They needed someone to help organize donations, manage supplies, and reach out to local businesses. Ethan hesitated, unsure if he wanted to put himself out there in such a way. But a part of him, a part that was slowly breaking free, wanted to be useful, to give back in a way he never had before. He agreed and soon found himself immersed in the work. The tasks were small, often tedious, but they filled him with a satisfaction he hadn't felt in years. He met townspeople who thanked him with genuine gratitude, who didn't know or care about his past, but valued him for the help he offered. The charity drive was a success, and in its aftermath, the town held a simple celebration. Standing in that small hall, surrounded by people who had become friends, Ethan felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. It was a feeling he had never known, even at the height of his success in Manhattan. The months continued to pass, and Ethan's transformation was undeniable. He became a regular at the town's gatherings, a friend to people he once would have dismissed. He no longer cared about wealth or status, about the trappings of success he had once clung to so fiercely. His life was filled with meaning, with connections that ran deeper than any deal he'd ever closed. One chilly spring morning, as he walked through the woods surrounding his cabin, he felt a sense of peace that was startling in its simplicity. The air was crisp, the sky a clear blue, and the world felt alive in a way that had once been invisible to him. He no longer needed the constant validation of success. He was content. It was in that moment that he realized he had finally found himself. Months later, when he was offered a modest position as a financial advisor for a local nonprofit, he accepted it without hesitation. He didn't need the prestige or the power anymore. He was content to use his skills for something meaningful, something that brought him joy and purpose. Ethan Langston was no longer the arrogant, ambitious man who had arrived in that small town. He had become someone different, someone better. And as he settled into his new life, he understood that he had lost his wealth, but had gained something far more valuable, a sense of purpose, a community, and a life that was truly his own.